Hello, my name is April Bacon, and I am currently a life skills teacher for junior high and high school students in a very small school district. My day kind of consists of I have about 6 or 7 kids on my caseload, and they are in my room for basic reading and basic math classes as well as life skills classes, and then they also come in for any help or accommodations or modifications in their regular education classrooms. I'm just finishing up with my class on explicit instruction by Dr. Archer and have learned so many new techniques throughout this class. The thing that I like best about Dr. Archer's techniques is that there's something that you can learn 1 minute and the next minute implement it into your classroom. The implementation process is so easy that there's no added materials that you have to purchase or wait for a subscription. She is very easy to follow, to understand, to learn from, and also she's so encouraging. Was the biggest thing that I got from her when she teaches, or when we watched the videos of her different lessons. She was so encouraging and so positive, which is sometimes you feel like you get stuck in a rut as a teacher. I have been teaching for 13 years, and that's kind of how I was feeling at this point in my career, and she just really was positive and encouraging and making me think that and feel that I can learn new things to help these students. All students, but particularly I care about the special ed population. That's where my passion is. So I kind of taking these strategies and kind of trying to implement it into my classroom. One thing that was difficult for me is because my class size is so small, I usually only have 1 to 4 or 5 students in a classroom at a time. So a lot of the partner strategies are difficult for me to implement into my classroom, but we are making it work. Obviously, when there's just 1 student, it wouldn't work. But when I have 2 or more students, we have been trying to implement more partner work in the classroom as well. I will, throughout this video, show you just a couple clips that I have videotaped in my classroom to show some of the implementation of Dr. Archer's ideas, strategies into my classroom. Dr. Archer discusses 16 elements of explicit instruction. The first is focus instruction on critical content. That means to make sure that your content matches your state standards and it's exactly what you want your students to learn from your class. The next is the sequence skills logically. Start with those easier, simpler skills and build on to those to the more complex skills. Third one is break down complex skills and strategies. Use those easier, simpler skills and use those as stepping stones to graduate into the more complex skills. Also use some strategies to help with those, teach those complex skills. Next is design organized and focused lessons. Dr. Archer talks about avoiding the void. And if you have an organized lesson, you're not going to have those digressions, you're not going to have those blank spots in your lessons where behaviors can become an issue. The next element would be begin lessons with goals and expectations. Tell your students exactly what you are going to teach them today and what you expect them to learn. Dr. Archer says that what we expect is what we get. So if you have high expectations for your students, you're going to get those results that you're looking for. The next element would be review prior skills. Dr. Archer talks about making each lesson, starting each lesson with a review, using that distributive practice from lessons that you've learned earlier in the week or earlier in the unit. The next element would be provide step-by-step demonstrations. This would be the modeling part of the lesson where the teacher is directing the students on how to solve or complete the strategy. Next would be to use clear and concise language. Make sure your directions are clear and that students are understanding what you are saying and what you're wanting them to do. The next element would be provide examples and non-examples. A lot of times Dr. Archer uses these in her vocabulary lessons. You teach the student what the word means and some non-examples of those vocabulary words. Provide guided and supported practice. This is the we do it part of the lesson where you scaffold and give the students skills and strategies in order to complete the task. The next element would be require frequent responses. Active participation is a big part of explicit instruction, where they can do it chorally as a whole class, where you can partner up, where you can use response cards, where you can use slates. Lots of different ways to make sure that your kids are active in the lesson. Monitor students' performance closely. This Dr. Archer says to walk around, look around, talk around. Use this time as students are working to make sure that they are doing it correctly. If not, you monitor to provide student performance closely. Tell them if they're not doing it right. Provide them that corrective feedback. If they are doing it right, give them that positive feedback. And then also to talk to them, build a rapport, build a relationship with your students. Deliver the lesson at a brisk pace. You want a pace that is perky, not pokey. Another part is the avoid the voids again, making sure that you're not having those spaces in your lessons where behaviors become an issue. Help students organize knowledge. And the last one is to provide distributed and cumulative practice. Each lesson should begin and end with some distributive practice, according to Dr. Archer.
Alright, skills maintenance. Okay. So, today for skills maintenance is activity 1. Read the directions for me, please. Jack.
Place the decimal numbers and fractions in order on the number line. Estimate their location.
Okay, we're estimating their location, so is it going to be the exact position, yes or no?
No.
No, very good. So number 1, we have 0.27. All right, so lids are on our markers, and we're just looking up here on how to do it first. So if I have the fraction 1 3/4, everybody say this fraction with me.
1
3/4. Say it with me, please.
1
3/4. Say it with me, please.
I just said it.
1 3/4.
I just said that.
Okay? Converting mixed numbers to decimal numbers using familiar decimal numbers. I know, I can look at this right away, and I know that the fraction 3/4 is what? Because that is a common fraction for us, so we know that 3/4 is equal to 0.75. Very good. So I can just go ahead, look at my numbers, 0.75, and I know that this is my whole number. I have one whole number. So without doing any calculations with my calculator, I can just look at this number, 1 3/4, and write it as a decimal. Let's practice some together. We're going to convert these 4 mixed numbers. So on your board, I want you to write 1 2 3 4. On your board, I want you to write 1 2 3 4, just like I did.
I didn't know if that was the question.
All right, the first one is 42 and 3/8. Everybody write that. Remember, we leave the whole numbers alone and write a decimal point after the whole number. So we're going to leave the whole number alone. Our whole number is what, everyone?
42.
42. So we leave that alone, put our decimal point. Now we'll take our calculator because 3/8 is not a very... All right, we have practiced. We are ready for our independent work. So on your packets, if you get them out and turn to lesson 14, okay? You have activity 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 activities. Activity 1 says to convert the fractions to decimal numbers. may use your calculator if needed. Do not forget that repeating line on top. Questions on activity 1?
Nope.
Put your supplies down so you're listening to directions, please.
We are.
Activity 2, convert the decimal numbers to fractions. So you're doing it backwards. So if your decimal number is 0.1, think, how do I say that number? All right, let's take a look at the vocabulary words from the story that we are going to read called The Circuit. I'm going to say each word aloud. You will repeat the word, then write it in the third column, then you will rate the knowledge of the word. Do you understand the directions, yes or no?
Yes, 136.
146.
Oh, that's why.
They're stuck together.
Yeah, this is, I'm like,
Okay, I say the word, you repeat the word, then you write it in the third column, then you rate it in the fourth column. Okay, remember the points are there to help you know which words you need to focus on. By the end of this unit, you should be able to change all your ratings to a 3. All right, the first word is exchange.
exchange,
Write the word. Rate the word. Next word is populated.
populated,
Together. Populated. Populated means lived in, filled with. What means lived in and filled with?
populated,
A wooded mountain might be populated by bears. A remote island may be populated only by fishermen and their families. On summer evenings, our backyard is populated by fireflies. Is a zoo populated with animals? Yes or no?
yes,
Is the moon populated? Yes or no?
no,
Not that we know of, right? All right, turn to your partner and tell what the ocean is populated with.
fish, fish,
I love your partners. All right, next word. Let's read it together.
oh, right.
Motionless. If something is motionless, it is still and not moving. What word means still and not moving?
motionless,